স্বাগত আই স্টাইলে। আমাদের এ পর্বের অতিথি একজন প্যারিস প্রবাসী খ্যাতিমান মার্কিন স্থপতি। তিনি স্থপতিদের পৃথিবীর সবথেকে বড় সংগঠন ইন্টারন্যাশনাল ইউনিয়ন অফ আর্কিটেক্টসের প্রেসিডেন্ট মিস্টার থমাস ভনিয়ার। চলুন আমার সাথে।
ইউনিয়ন অফ ইন্টারন্যাশনাল আর্কিটেক্টস অথবা ইউআইএ হচ্ছে একটা ইউনেস্কোর অ্যাফিলিয়েট বডি। এটা প্রায় 70 বছর আগে স্ট্যাবলিশড হয় এবং এটা করাই হয়েছিল যে আর্কিটেকচার এবং প্ল্যানিং রিলেটেড ইস্যুসে মানে পৃথিবী জুড়ে যে কাজ হচ্ছিল আমাদের ইন্টারন্যাশনাল মুভমেন্ট যেটা হচ্ছিল সেই সময়কার যারা মাস্টার আর্কিটেক্ট ছিলেন তারা এটা ইনিশিয়েট করে, তারপরে এটাকে আস্তে আস্তে করে স্প্রেড হয় এবং এখন প্রায় 124টা দেশ এর সদস্য। আপনারা জানেন যে এসডিজি গোল যেটা আমরা সবাই সিগনেটারি, সেখানে আমাদের দেশের একটা দায়িত্ব আছে যে কিভাবে করে আমরা এই এসডিজি গোলে আর্কিটেক্টরা রোল প্লে করতে পারে। সেই জন্য একটা 17টা পয়েন্টের একটা আছে, একটা গোলের কিছু। সেইখানে মানে আমাদের যে কাজগুলো হবে এখন থেকে আমাদের রেসপন্সিবল প্রফেশনালস হিসেবে কাজ করতে হবে, সেই জিনিসগুলো ওখানে একটা গাইডলাইন দেওয়া আছে। বাট ইট ইজ এ ব্রড গাইডলাইন। আমাদের এই ইউআইএর প্রেসিডেন্ট আর্কিটেক্ট থমাস ভনিয়ার, সে আমাদের ইনভাইটেশনে এবার এসছেন ফর দ্য ফার্স্ট টাইম। ইজ ভেরি ওয়েল নোন এবং ভেরি আর্টিকুলেট এবং ভেরি প্যাশনেট একজন আর্কিটেকচারের ব্যাপারে এবং এই প্রফেশনের ব্যাপারে, এবং স্পেশালি এই প্রেজেন্ট কনটেক্সটে এখন পৃথিবীর যে আমাদের একটা জিনিস তো আমরা সবাই মিলে যে আমাদের পরিবেশগত দিকটার উপর আমরা খুব জোর দিচ্ছি। এই আমাদের গত দশকগুলোতে আমরা আমাদের ডেভেলপমেন্টের নামে আমরা অনেক পরিবেশের অনেক ক্ষতি করে ফেলছি, শুধু ডেভেলপমেন্টে দেখেছি। কিন্তু দুইটারই যে প্রয়োজন এবং সেই আমাদের পরিবেশ ছাড়া আমাদের সামাজিক উন্নয়নটাও যেন বাধাগ্রস্ত না হয়, সেই জায়গাগুলোতে ওনার he is very conscious.
Yeah, Thomas Vonier is somebody, an architect who is in touch with modernism and who likes to deliver the deliverables. He likes results. He's a result-oriented person when it comes to the issues about concerning architecture, and he's passionate about the environment and technology.
Thomas, welcome in iStyle.
Thank you so much. Yeah, very happy to be here.
Thank you. Thomas, you're an architect,
I am.
security expert,
Yes, it's true.
currently working for the Sustainable Development Goals.
That's true.
What are the challenges for the developing cities?
You know, we have two enormous problems in the world. One of them has to do with how we develop and the devotion to automobiles and to gasoline-powered and diesel-powered engines. It means that our air is polluted, our land is taken up with automobiles and trucks, and so we have these development patterns that are destroying natural environments, taking agriculture away, and producing climate effects that are very damaging. So that's one problem. The other problem we have is, and it's very evident in your part of the world, that there are millions of people who are living essentially with what they build for themselves, with what they can find, because they're very poor and they're in need. So we have these two big problems in the world. If you think there are 7.5 billion people on our planet, there are probably 1 billion of those people who are living a very meager existence with what they can find. And so these are the challenges of sustainability for our planet and for our people.
How you will address, or how an architect will address this issue by, staying here?
Yes, you know, what we're discussing are examples of projects all over the world where architects have made a difference in how people live and how they improve their lives. We've been looking at examples, for example, of a mining community in Chile where the architect produced some very basic structures, recognizing that people will build for themselves over time with what they can afford, when they can afford it. But now they have a very solid foundation with all of the necessary plumbing and all of the things that are needed. And that are examples also in Africa, where architects have taught tribes, small groups of people, to build better with what they can find near them, bamboo, other native indigenous materials. So we're very interested in showing how our profession can help to make lives better for people simply by building better, because building is an important activity. It's an important human activity, and it's something that we can help people do better all across the globe.
So the architectural organization, our contribution is towards the built environment, towards urban planning, towards buildings, towards design. And I think that that mission is very important and remains very important, just as important today with the sustainability challenges, with migration and displacement and all the other challenges we're seeing. So when this commission was set down, the UIA asked him to be a chair and asked me to be the co-chair. So we bring together, even in chairing this commission, different nations, different viewpoints, different experiences, because all of these challenges have a different expression. We have challenges in Denmark, but they look different here. But we can still share our knowledge, share our know-how, and work together to advance the built environment so it becomes safe, inclusive, and prosperous. An important thing to know about all the work of the UIA is that people are volunteers. Even the president is a volunteer. So he is dedicating his time to help this agenda across nations, to travel the globe and help inspire politicians, inspire citizens, inspire corporations to move towards a better architectural quality, towards solutions of these the many challenges we are facing. And I think that's a huge commitment for any individual to take on, and even on a voluntary basis. So Thomas, along with every other volunteer in the UIA network, has his private practice, he has his work life alongside of this. So this is an extraordinary commitment.
Thomas, you know, our architects, they're studying in the local universities,
Yes.
and the syllabus and the design, everything is the local. So on that note, it is not the hour, it is happening all the developing cities like developing
Yes.
countries.
Yes.
So do you think our syllabus, our model will able to cater the problem you're discussing?
There are two things I would say to that. One of them is everybody's got one of these, and so we live in a global world. I mean, I can talk to someone right now. I can talk to someone who's in New York, and here I am in Bangladesh. I can look at what they're doing, I can study what they're doing, and students, young people today, are very skilled at using these devices and computers, and they talk to one another across great distances. The second thing I would say is that you have a number of students here from Bangladesh with our program. They're all very interested in these, so I think I'm very encouraged. I think everybody should be encouraged by what they see.
Yes, I'm personally very encouraged too. Just asking from my curiosity, do you think the mobile you have shown, from this mobile or from the internet, by staying in France, by staying in USA, you can get the real picture of Bangladesh?
No, I think there's no substitute for actually being here and having the experience. But, people do travel in life and through the world, and our lives are intermingled internationally all the time. And so, if you have a very large family in Bangladesh, chances are somewhere in that family, someone you know has gone to Europe or to the United States or to another part of the world. Maybe they're even living there. And so you have a connection and you have this opportunity. And I think there is no substitute for experiencing it yourself, for meeting the people, seeing the environment. But you still have a sense. We know, for example, in the United States, about the enormous refugee problem that you have in this country. And so we have some sense of the issues that you experience here and the terrible fire that occurred here in Dhaka not so long ago. We know about these things, so it is a connected world in that sense, very much so. And it's because of these telephones in part.
Should I take the privilege to tour you the campus you are in?
I would love that.
Should I?
We should go.
Yes.
Thank you.
Must tell us something about UIA. I know you're the president of it, and you have around 3.2 million architects of this world.
That's true. That's true. That's a very
You're
good
a very
figure.
big shot.
Oh, not so big. This organization was founded in 1948, so that's 71 years ago. by people who had experienced the Second World War in Europe, and they were mainly concerned with the destruction they saw, the sort of damage that had been done by war, and they believed in the idea of rebuilding, making a better world through architecture, through making good buildings. So they founded this organization really in order to focus architects' attention on the problems that people face in the world and the opportunity to improve their lives through building. So that's our mission. We have been aligned with the United Nations for many, many years, since 1956. Some people might know the Sydney Opera House or the Centre Pompidou in France. Those buildings came about as a result of design competitions that we organized with the United Nations to produce the best building we could. You have a wonderful example of architecture here in Dhaka, your Parliament building, done by a very famous architect, famous in my part of the world, who taught for many years at one of our great universities, Louis Kahn. And so we are an organization that believes in the power of architecture and the importance of architecture in bringing people to a better place in their lives and in the world.
Sir, you have the privilege to travel all around the world for your profession, you know. On that note, what is the difference between the city you have come from, Paris, and we are in here in Dhaka? So from the architectural point, what are the differences, I would say challenges?
The challenges are extraordinary here. First of all, you have a population that's much, much larger than the population of Paris. Paris has its own problems. It has congestion, it has poverty, it has people in difficulty and many issues that it faces on a very different scale. And I would say that what I find is a common theme is that there are people, particularly young people, who want to do what they can to make these problems better and to solve some of the very issues that we face. I see you're building a huge mass transit project here in Dhaka. I think it's an Italian-Thai conglomerate that's working to produce it. That if you look at a city like Paris that has had public transit for over 100 years, that makes a very big difference in people's lives because they don't have to drive a car or get in a taxi or take a rickshaw. They can take a safe, efficient, affordable public transit. It reduces all of the environmental problems. So I think these steps that you are taking here will make a big difference in the future, and I hope in the near future.
I know you do the cycling. You are an avid cyclist.
I am, that's true.
You are.
Yeah.
So on
I
that
should do
note,
more of it.
On that note, if you were in Dhaka, what do you think? How did you?
I would never attempt to ride a bicycle here. I'd be afraid to even perhaps drive a motor vehicle. I admire people who can do that, and you know, it's a wonderful mode of transportation. If you're not competing with automobiles and trucks, you know, then it becomes much more difficult when you have heavy vehicles, motor vehicles that are moving near you. It's different, but I love bicycles. I love looking at the ones that are here because they have a different set of technologies, and so I wish I could do more bicycling. But
To achieve the goal, HDG goal by 2030, thank you so much. You are working on this very closely. Do you think the developing cities like Dhaka, we can achieve it in the sustainable manner?
we have to. I think that is the challenge that our planet faces, and every society, every community has to make its contribution and make its way. I think in some respects, cultures that have more modest means are in a better position because they're already accustomed to trying not to waste so much because they don't have so much. If you go in the Western world, in Paris or Washington, D.C., the waste is tremendous, and we can afford to be wasteful. So for us, it's a more difficult transition in some ways. I think the key in cities like Dhaka, as far as I'm concerned, is for public investment to be made in systems that are not for automobiles only. We have to invest in public transit. We have to invest in better housing for the people. And we have to invest in clean industries and clean technologies that don't pollute the air and the food and everything else. So yes, I have to believe that. You have to believe that. Everyone has to believe that, and we have to work on it.
Thomas, so should you take the privilege to sit in a room?
Let's do it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thomas, since you work in the whole world and to achieve the SDG goals, I'm sure you contact with the governments.
Yes.
And governments in the developed countries and the developing countries, there has some difference probably.
Yes.
How do you manage it?
Well, we try to reach to the highest level we possibly can. I did meet with the president of Azerbaijan, for example, which was a very impressive experience. But we try to encourage governments to have a policy about architecture and to take action that results in investments for the long term, investments in quality and in good buildings. Because many politicians don't want to spend money. They want it done quickly, cheaply, just get it done, doesn't matter how it looks. And we're trying to show that it's important to invest for the long term and to have a policy that produces very good buildings for schools, for libraries, for hospitals, for all kinds of facilities that are important to people who live in cities. So we work with mayors. We're working now with the mayor of Rio de Janeiro. That's a city of maybe 18 million people, has a very large population living in poverty, and we're trying to work with the mayor because we're going to meet there in 2020, in July of 2020. There will probably be 15 or 20,000 architects from all over the world who will come. So we want him to think about with us, how can we use our profession to improve conditions for those people and to improve that city as a place to live. So we do try to work with governments and also with non-government organizations like UNESCO, UN Habitat, and the United Nations itself.
How you're getting the responses from the Bangladesh?
I think very, very good response so far. I know that our colleagues here at the Institute of Architects of Bangladesh have been working with the government of Bangladesh and with the ministries that affect construction and spending. And again, I see evidence of real investment in the future in the mass transit program that you have here. And I'm sure there are many others that I don't know about, but I hope to learn about in the next few days.
We are at the end of the program. What would be your message to the architects in Bangladesh to achieve the SDG goals through their work?
Well, my first message is thank you for inviting us, because it's really a privilege to be invited to a place and to meet your colleagues. And we have, people from so many parts of the world who are coming to meet here in Dhaka and in Bangladesh. So thank you to the architects of Bangladesh for inviting us and making us feel welcome. What we do in life is a very noble calling, to build and to have the skill to build and to know how to see how something could be is a wonderful thing. And all architects know that. That's why they become architects, because they know about the beauty and the power of making places where people feel happy, comfortable, safe, warm. So I would only say continue with your work, continue with your excellent work, and remember why you came to this profession in the first place. It's to make lives for people better. And if we always keep that in mind, if we think in our work that that's what our work is, it's a very wonderful profession everywhere in the world. So thank you for inviting me as well. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thomas Vonier, যিনি বিশ্ব স্থপতিদের যে সংগঠন আছে সেটার প্রধান, তিনি বললেন এই আর্কিটেক্ট প্রফেশনে যারা আছে এটা একটা পবিত্র পেশা এবং এই পেশায় থেকে তারা মানুষের জীবনকে পরিবর্তন করতে পারেন। আমরাও চাই এদের মাধ্যমে মানুষের জীবন পরিবর্তন হবে। পরের পর্বে অন্য কোনো অতিথিকে নিয়ে দেখা হবে। টিল দেন, আই উইশ ইউ আ ভেরি গুড ডে। গুড বাই।